Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning KU. It's Tuesday, November 8th. I'm Coleman Connolly.
I'm Chris Sitek.
And Chris, what did you do this weekend? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I went and saw Doctor Strange on Friday, so opening day. It was a pretty good movie, a lot of action, definitely mind-blowing like visuals and whatnot. And besides that, it was a pretty chill weekend. I watched the Chiefs struggle and to a win, and now we're here. Yeah.
I actually saw Doctor Strange myself. I'm a huge fan. I thought it was a very different approach to how the Marvel movies have been going. I'm kind of tired of the whole Avengers thing. That's just me. But I feel like we're seeing a lot of the same elements in every movie. But Doctor Strange was cool. A lot of trippy visuals and a lot of effects. But today is Election Day. And how are you feeling about that, man?
Honestly, I'm feeling nervous. I still haven't voted. I was planning to vote today, but I'm being told that it's probably not a good idea. There's going to be lines like crazy. Yeah. And I guess nervous. This is going to be probably the craziest election maybe ever.
It's going to be very interesting. We actually have a clip of some highlights from the first debate just to throw back to a little of the best moments in the debate.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not? Just join the debate by saying more crazy things. Donald.
Now, in all fairness to Secretary Clinton, yes, is that okay? Good. I want you to be very happy. It's very important to me.
Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Where did you find it? And Hillary, I just ask you this. You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now?
Why won't he release his tax returns? And I think there may be a couple of reasons. First, maybe he's not as rich as he says he is. Maybe he's not as charitable as he claims to be. He didn't pay any federal income tax.
Well, that's great. I don't know. This whole time, it's all been about personal attacks. That seems to be the theme between them. It's gonna be interesting tonight, no matter the outcome. I just cannot wait to see the losing candidate's speech afterwards. Either way, it's gonna be interesting. But
I thought the video was interesting because I thought that with Trump wearing a blue tie, I found that kind of interesting, as well as Clinton wearing a red suit. That's kind of opposite what their
absolutely.
Their parties
I think
are.
it's out of respect, maybe. But yeah, man, exciting stuff. We have Thanksgiving next week too. I'm looking more forward to that than tonight, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays because you get to eat, and eating is great. So,
honestly,
speaking of eating, what's your favorite plate for Thanksgiving?
Stuffing and turkey for sure. It puts me right to sleep. Lets me unbuckle my belt a little bit. What? Do you have any plans? Where are you going for Thanksgiving?
I'm actually staying home with family. I'm going to be going to my grandma's and eating a ton of turkey, and then probably going into a coma, only to wake up for hopefully watching some NFL games. Absolutely. What about you?
Probably the same. I'll be headed back to Chicago. My family always hosts. It's always crazy. And especially with this election, it's going to get heated, and all my Republican family versus my Democrat family, it's always gonna blow up. It's gonna be horrible. I gotta say. But
cool.
I think that'll wrap it up here. Any last thoughts, Chris?
Watch the Chiefs game and vote. Go out and vote today. Very important. Your vote matters. There's not really a win-win situation, but please vote.
And we will be right back with the news. Stay tuned.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas. A great place to be you.
Welcome back. I'm Ian Saucy. And I'm Minnie Wedding, and this is the KU News Update. A jury has awarded $3 million to a former University of Virginia administrator after a defamation case of the Rolling Stone magazine. The money was granted to the former associate Dean Nicole Aramo for the magazine's false account of a gang rape at a fraternity house on campus. Aramo claimed that the 2014 story portrayed her as indifferent to the alleged sexual assault victim. The fraternity is also suing Rolling Stone for $25 million, but the trial is scheduled to begin next fall.
Iraq Kurdish forces are exchanging heavy fire with ISIS as they advance to the urban stronghold of Mosul. Troops advancing to the city from the south uncovered a mass grave with nearly 100 decapitated citizens. Beheadings and mass graves have been a trademark of that terrorist group that allegedly kills civilians who do not pledge allegiance to their cause.
Before the polls opened this morning, more than 27% of Douglas County voters will have already voted. The county has already received nearly 22,000 ballots, crushing the previous record of 17,000 in 2008. Officials are predicting about 52,000 county voters this year, which is significantly lower than the 55,000 recorded in 2008. The polls will be open from 7 up until 7 p.m.
New road signs will be added to Lawrence streets in order to remind motorists to share the road with bicyclists. The Lawrence-Douglas County Bicycle Advisory Committee that recommends the new signs said that the goal is to help improve safety. The signs will specify whether the bicyclists are granted to the full lane or to the 3-foot passing lane. The signs will start being installed immediately.
In honor of Veterans Day, the University of Kansas will host various events starting tomorrow. Many of the events are open to the public, including the annual Marine Corps birthday celebration and the KU Salute to Service football game. Students and community members are encouraged to attend any and all events to recognize those who have served in the armed forces. The Veterans Day Run will take place this Sunday from 9 a.m. at Memorial Stadium. We'll be right back with the sports update.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Will Rickey.
I'm Chris Sitek.
And I'm Minnie Wedding. Welcome back to the Sports News Blog.
All right, let's talk.
Go ahead.
Let's talk baseball. As the Chicago Cubs are World Series champions after beating the Cleveland Indians 8-7 in extra innings. This is the Cubs' first World Series pennant in 108 years, and we have some great photos of the historic moment. So guys, what are your guys' opinions on the Cubs winning the World Series this year?
I think it was everything you would want for a Game 7 and more. I mean, there were highs, there were certainly lows. I mean, the Cubs at one point had a 6-1 advantage, and the Indians roared back, I mean, coming down from 5 runs, and it was capped off by a Rajai Davis 2-run home run off Aroldis Chapman, who was nearly unhittable in baseball. And I just thought it was a great win for the Cubs. I mean, the first one they've had in 108 years.
Yeah,
I mean, some people have gone their whole lives literally without seeing a Cubs win a championship.
Oh
so.
yeah, it's a great deal. We got to get those graphics. We had some graphics, but we'll get those figured out soon. I think going back to the World Series, I think it's great for the city of Chicago. I think it's a great deal for the city after like you said, 108 years. For winning the World Series. It's just tremendous. You know, there were 5 million people at that Chicago Cubs World Series parade, and it was just unbelievable, I think. And we thought 1 million was a big number in Kansas City, but think of Kansas City with 5 million people, man. It's just that would just be outrageous. So yeah, I thought that was tremendous. I thought the comeback for the Cubs was tremendous. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all in all, an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Moving to the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs were back at home up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chiefs were without Alex Smith, Spencer Ware, Jeremy McLean, and at one point Travis Kelce.
On that interception early in the game was there on the
I think
turned him and hooked him away from the ball. Right
Chiefs.
there.
The Chiefs defense forced 4 turnovers and played good enough to beat the Jaguars 19-14. Hey, so guys, so what are your guys'? You think the Chiefs are contenders or pretenders for the AFC West?
I think they're contenders because of their defense. Certainly, we saw from that clip Travis Kelce getting angry and getting ejected by throwing his towel at a ref, which
I thought that was
obviously
hilarious.
is illegal. But in terms of if they're contenders, pretenders, I certainly think they're contenders. Their defense is a top 5 defense, particularly in the red zone with those takeaways. The offense is a work in progress. Like we talked about, they were without their stars in Spencer Ware, Alex Smith, and company. So I think it's going to be kind of crucial for them to come back healthy in their next matchup against the Carolina Panthers. So I think they're contenders because of their defense, but we'll see if they can actually compete for a championship with that offense. What do you think, Will?
I'm going to have to agree with you. I think they are contenders this year. I think the way their defense has been looking just doing phenomenal. We forced 4 turnovers, like I mentioned earlier, and I do think our offense needs a lot of work, but Nick Foles throwing for 93 yards in the first half and 94 in the second half. He needs some work. You know what I mean? And I think Alex Smith can deliver a lot more winning for us. I think Nick Foles is a flashy player, but would you rather have winning or would you rather have a flashy player? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's I think we're contenders for the playoffs this year, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more, guys. I hope that the rest of the players get back on the field.
Yeah.
Speaking of the AFC West, the Denver Broncos were in Oakland taking on the Raiders in a Sunday Night Football Classic. The Broncos game was at the Black Hole with a 2-game winning streak and came out with a 30-20 loss to the Raiders. Denver now sits alone in the 3rd place in the NFL's toughest division. Do y'all still think the Broncos are contenders for the AFC?
I really don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know much about the Broncos. I think they are looking at how they play. Oakland is a phenomenal team this year. I think their record is 7-2, and so I think Oakland's a tough team to beat. But I think if the Broncos keep up what they've been doing, I think I think they're great contenders for the playoffs this year. What about you, Chris?
I don't know. It's hard to say because they seem like they've been pretenders because they lost to the Chargers and they just lost to Oakland, who has had a bit of an easier schedule. But then they've beaten the Carolina Panthers, who went to the Super Bowl, and they beat Houston at home. So they've had good wins. They've also had really bad losses. So my biggest thing I'm looking at with the Broncos is their running game. Are they able to run the ball on offense, and are they able to stop the run on defense? They weren't able to run the ball very well against Oakland or stop the run because they gave up over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns to Oakland running backs. So if they're able to run the ball well in Gary Kubiak's system and stop the run on defense, I think they're a legitimate contender in the AFC who could possibly have 3 teams going to the playoffs. I mean, the AFC West, they're a good division, absolutely.
Oh yeah, one of the toughest in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we all know I'm voting for the Broncos.
Absolutely.
Moving to college basketball, KU men's team was back in action over the weekend, taking on Fort Hays State. The Jayhawks dunked their way to a 104-62 win against Fort State. One of the biggest dunks was from Devontae Graham. Azubuike hookup that brought the Jayhawks faithful to their feet.
Comes to Kansas. Graham, a lobby. Oh, and this time he rips the rim with one hand and shouts to the rooftops. The rookie's fired up, and so is the crowd. What a finish by.
Wow.
Kansas takes on Indiana this Friday in Hawaii. So, guys, can the Jayhawks beat the Hoosiers?
I really think so. If our offense is clicking, and if Josh Jackson shows up and Devontae Graham shows up and Frank Mason show up like they did that last game, I think they got a great shot. But I mean, Indiana is a great team from what I've heard, and I'm really not worried about it. But I mean, the team I'm most worried about this year is the Duke Blue Devils. The number one team the number one team in the nation right now, and so powerful. But I think, I mean, last game you were looking at it, Josh Jackson had 11 points, Frank Mason had 17, Udoka had 13 points, and Devontae Graham had 10 points. And going back to that clip, Udoka had 7 alley-oop hookup dunks, and that's a big deal. We haven't seen that in a while. 7 alley-oops. I mean, that's a great big deal. I don't know, Chris. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think if we can make it Dunk City, like Minnie said in that clip, I think we could beat the Hoosiers. I think I look at 4 keys for Kansas being able to win the game. Number 1, being able to control the glass, right? I mean, Landon Lucas, Udoka Azubuike, Carlton Bragg, those guys need to control the glass. If they can control the glass, that leads out to transition, like you were talking about with Devontae Graham and Frank Mason getting out and running this offense. I think number 2, our big man depth is not very deep. So keeping those guys out of foul trouble, they're going to be battling in the trenches because Indiana has a ton of big men that are really good, you know. So if they can stay out of foul trouble, that'll be huge. And then getting Josh Jackson involved early. You know, you saw game 1, he had 0 points in the first half of the exhibition game 1, but then he had 15 the second half. So.
Yeah, but it's hard when you're a freshman and you're coming into that big atmosphere because you really don't know where to be at. You really don't know your role yet, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think he did a great job that first game in the second half. And he also did great the second game.
Absolutely,
I mean, when he went through those 2 defenders, you know, that was just amazing.
Yeah. And so exactly what I'm saying. So Josh Jackson, he's going to be huge. If we can get him involved early, get him some points, get him some scoring, get him some confidence,
exactly.
Kansas can definitely beat Indiana.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for the sports block. From Will, Ricky, and Minnie Wedding and myself, thanks for tuning in. And next week we'll have even more great stuff. Next up, we have weather with Andrew. And thanks for tuning in. Please go out and vote, and thank you.
All right, thanks for.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. My name's Andrew Wagner, and I'll be your weather forecaster for the day. As we take a look at today's weather, we can see that we're going to have a high of 63 with mostly sunny skies and winds out of the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And breaking down your day for you, we can see that at 11 a.m. it's going to be 59 degrees with cloudy skies and winds out of the north at 8 miles per hour. And moving on into the afternoon hours, we have a temperature of 63 degrees with clear skies. And into the evening hours, those temperatures will start to decrease as we're moving into the evening hours. So looking at the 7 p.m. hour, our temperature will be 50 degrees with winds out of the north at 6 miles per hour. So if you're making plans on boating today or getting ready to head out to those classes, I advise you to take a light jacket with you just because, or wear long sleeves because it will be a little chilly with that wind out there. And especially if you're going to wait in those long lines to be boating, that's going to be the problem. So if you need to moving into the overnight hours, that's when we'll have our temperature of 60 or 37 degrees with a frost advisory. So that means we have a chance of having possible frost happening, but it's not a definite. So just like be aware of that. It's one of the first chances for the season, so it's always a big deal. And then looking at tomorrow, I'll have a high of 61 and that frost potential before 8 a.m. So if you have that morning class, it's going to be really chilly. And then waking up and moving on into the day, that's when we'll have the nice warm temperatures. And breaking down the rest of your 5-day forecast, we can see that on Thursday we're going to have a high of 67 degrees with a low of 41 and sunny skies. Friday it's going to be a high of 62 degrees with sunny skies with a low of 33. And Saturday for that home football game back here, it's going to be a high of 59 degrees. So it's going to be a little chilly this weekend, but it's going to be nice and sunny skies. So as I said earlier, wear those long sleeves, so take that light jacket with you as you're getting ready for your day or getting ready to go wait in line to vote. And we'll be right back after this with a game.
And in honor of the election, we are going to analyze a couple of the last-minute release campaign ads from both Ms. Clinton and Mr. Trump. Here we have Hillary Clinton, the worst woman to have ever walked on stage. Look at that, deplorable. These guys, they know what they're doing.
They know what's good.
She is just terrible. But these guys, they rallied behind one common goal. Not her, though. These guys, they want him.
Oh, look at that. He's handing out juice, some kind of juice there.
You do not want this viciously demoralizing, hard-working. You want him.
A vote for Trump is a vote for juice.
Putting a wife
He really
to
does
work
believe
is
this.
a very dangerous thing.
Look at him, a young Donald.
And this, he believes this. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what he might be saying? This is what he is saying. He really said this last thing. He said, that bus, it's not a good bus.
He said, grab him by the ears.
He did. Grab him right by the ears, you scream in their face, and you say, listen, she did all this stuff. But I'm great. Look at this. New Trump accusers and accusing him of doing great, marvelous things. But not really, because here I am, Hillary, getting a... Oh, no, that's still me, Donald.
Yeah, he was in a dressing room with contestants.
He was in a dressing room.
And I believe the quote was, he was standing in there with no clothes. He was naked.
God,
you don't want that man
That's
there.
Donald Trump. Do you want him naked in a dressing room? No one wants that. Nobody wants that. And here I am walking down the hallway.
I can't say that.
Gonna be on camera saying some more mean things. Anyone who believes, says, does what he does is unfit to be president.
You cannot vote for Donald Duck. You cannot.
Well, those were some compelling ads, both of which were...
They were moving. There are a lot of attacks.
As evoking.
I didn't see any issues being played out there, but
well,
lots of... They're good at arguing.
They are good at arguing, and I think the big thing we can take away from this is that you need to go out today and vote. Polls close at 7. We got all day, people. Thanks for tuning in to Good Morning KU. I'm Nick Baker.
I'm Coleman Connolly. Vote.
We'll see you next week.